Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Commentary is Magic stream on today, Friday, October 22nd, 2020.
Are you sure that's what today is?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I am, as always, Grandpa's.
Big cheese. Right.
We're not in the right order.
Microphone.
Big cheese.
Aracat and
Ivory Starlight. These two were supposed to be in different places.
They've switched seats. It's fine.
I'm exactly where I belong.
And we're here to have a good old time. Ara, what's our stream content for today? Live from Ciderfest?
Live from Ciderfest, that's right.
Live from Ciderfest. It's Friday night! No, it's good. We are actually here to do something that we've been excited about for a while. Haven't had the chance to attempt this yet with us, but we're glad to have several of you here in person, as well as more individuals watching on Twitch. We will try to keep an eye on the chat feed to see what's going on with that. This is the first, and hopefully not the last, NLPCCG Design a Card panel. So, those of you who have played the My Little Pony collectible card game before, or may be vaguely familiar with it, know that Commentary is Magic currently produces print-and-play sets for this game. And so far, it's been a lot of fun, and we've enjoyed it, but we'd like to give you, as fans or viewers, a chance to make your own mark on this game as well, and to help us design cards that will be released in future supplements for this game. So, it should be a lot of fun. Ara, how do we want to start with this?
Well, the first thing to talk about here when we're designing a card is top-down design versus bottom-up design. And I'm going to let you get up on your soapbox here.
All right.
Physically up on a soapbox.
You can't see, but my feet are resting on a soapbox beneath the table. Trust me, it's fine. So, top-down versus bottom-up design. Who in the audience is familiar with what these terms mean? You know what I mean?
Yes.
You want to explain them to people?
Yes. So, literally, from the top of the card down, or from the bottom of the card up.
Flawless.
Good answer.
Absolutely
Now,
correct.
Figuratively, it's about the concept of who the character is, what their characteristics are is top-down, which is incidentally on the top of the card. And then the others is starting with the mechanics and figuring out what character would fit those mechanics.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, many games will favor one or the other, but a well-balanced game or one that is going to have broader appeal is going to use both. There have been numerous cards that have been printed over the course of this game's history, both by Enterplay and Commentary is Magic, that feature top-down design, where we started with an idea of a character, something they did in the show, some personality trait that they have, some characteristic about them, and tried to figure out how we could replicate or best exemplify that in mechanics within the card game. We've also had numerous cards that we knew mechanically needed to do something for balance purposes, for functional purposes within a set, and then we had to try to apply flavor over the top of that. Sometimes these things click, and it's very easy to come together. Other times, it's a little bit harder. But we have some examples that we can show of cards that have been designed by the community before, I believe. Mm-hmm. So who recognizes any of these cards here? Oh yeah. Double R's seen these? Yep, we've seen those as well. So every single one of these cards has been designed or suggested to be designed either by members of the community or Sim before we started actually designing full sets. And you can take a look at a card like Lyra and Bonbon that has a couple of unique effects. It's eccentric. When it enters play, you get to put a friendship counter on one of your friends, and when you move this card to a problem, you can move another one of your friends with a friendship counter to the same problem. That seems like that could have easily been top-down design. They started with this idea of Lyra and Bonbon fused together. One has to go wherever the other goes, and then made mechanics around that. Yes?
That sounds like a proto version of Trout.
Well, it's more like what Wildfire and Holly Dash used to do in the premiere set, where they would conga line to each other. Because this one doesn't make them bigger, it just allows them to go one after the other.
Okay.
Wonderbolt's Runway was designed by one of the members in the East Coast.
Yeah. I believe it was the Cambridge group.
Mm-hmm. And that one was definitely...
Johnny, right?
That was Johnny?
It was
this
Johnny.
is Pegasus. Pegasus.
Pegasus
eggs.
Eggs
Yes. So
was the working title for that card.
read the card Wonderbolt's Runway, but instead of picturing the runway with the Wonderbolt trainees, picture it as a nest of hatching Pegasus eggs, assuming Pegasi hatched from eggs.
Think the scene from Alien where they go into the nesting grounds.
Maybe with less face hugging and more just regular hugging.
That's cute.
I mean, I don't know what Pegasi you've been hanging around, but I think
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Then you have another card like Lacking Lesson Plans. Lacking Lesson Plans served a very specific purpose because it was coming in the meta immediately after Tempest Shadow was printed, and it mechanically needed to do certain things. The flavor could be applied to a number of different things as well.
I'm going to be honest here. The flavor on Lacking Lesson Plans phoned in.
But it worked.
Did.
So,
The Lacking Lesson Plans is a great example of bottom-up card design. We knew exactly what it needed to do. The stats for this card were quoted verbatim by a playtester. They were essentially applied directly to the finished card. The only thing that changed here was they needed flavor, and some kind of flavor that vaguely fit was applied.
Yep.
now, out of all the card types, I think I know what the answer to this is, but which one would you say is the hardest to come up with flavor for?
So
For record, do you want to give people an idea of how much work you do on flavor?
okay, so all of the flavor since Fond Memories was me.
Fond Memories?
Sorry, Friends Forever.
There you go.
So Interplay printed the set, but I was selecting flavor, giving names, picking images, giving flavor text. They did all the layout and all the printing stuff. Since then, it's been me. I do the art, the layout. I have a very complicated Python tool chain to arrange all the images and a bunch of other nonsense. So
You may have seen his art streams before.
I've seen my art streams before and my box of grinded pony hose.
So if you have a complaint about the art, remember, it's just his art.
It was just my
and our
eyes.
audio wave just spiraled all over the place.
Okay, Ara's not allowed to hiss that close to the mic. There you go. That's a little better. Okay. So we've given some examples. We've talked about top-down versus bottom-up design. Let's walk through how this is actually going to work this evening with the cards that you're going to help design.
It's about the process.
Thank you, Luna. So walk us through the process.
Okay, so the next slide, I've got 9 different pieces of art, ones that I think would lend themselves fairly well to a card without too much sitting here and fooling around with like art and repainting stuff. And we'll take input on which art should we use. Once we've decided on art, we need to figure out what kind of card we're designing. Is this going to be a friend, an event, a resource, or maybe a problem?
What about a troublemaker?
Could be a troublemaker.
Could be a troublemaker.
Yeah.
It's unlikely to be a main since those are more complicated to design. Once we figure that out, I'm going to fire up Photoshop, see if my machine decides to crash today, and
Fingers crossed.
try to put the art into a template.
If anyone has an ice pad to put the surface on, we might need one at some point.
I really should have got the 16 gig model. You can't run Photoshop on 8 gigs of RAM. It just doesn't work.
You can't just order anything else.
Diamond Song adds cries and Yona main.
Cries and Yona main. Well, I've got good news for you, Diamond Song. There's a Yona picture on the next slide. It's not going to be a main. Sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe you should have been here to convince us in person.
Oh!
And before anyone asks, Hithrock, asking about Trixie will get Trixie removed from Fond Memories. 1 Trixie card removed from Fond Memories for every time someone asks about Trixie. And yes, you can go negative, and we do accrue that debt into future sets.
How many
as well.
are even in the set now?
That's classified.
Yeah.
Classified? You can go on Ponyhead right now
One
and
viewer.
look.
You sure can. Okay, who's ready to see some art choices?
Is it Trixie?
There are no Trixies. I'm not that dumb. So once we put the art in the template, we need to discuss what does this card do. Then I'll kill off Photoshop, switch to InDesign, we'll do the layout of the card. And get the card published in a future release, question marks?
Not question mark. We'll do it. It'll be good. We'll release it. For reference, these cards will not be released in Fond Memories. Fond Memories is basically already set. So, mechanically speaking, we just don't have room to add more cards to that set.
Dear Princess Grandpaws, there are too many cards in the Fond Memories layout. Please remove 3.
Dear Princess Grandpa's cards. God, I love cards. Dear Princess Grandpa's.
All right, so who's ready to go for some art choices?
Let's go for some art.
Yeah.
Woo! Oh, yeah. He's got some good ones up there.
So there's the ones that I think we're going to go with. I want to see if I'm right without saying which ones I think they are.
I totally don't remember Rainbow Dash firing her lasers.
What are you talking about?
That's the pie episode.
It is the pie episode.
It's Pinky's hallucination.
Good memory.
Ah!
Very good memory.
Secrets and pies. It's all secrets and pies with these ponies.
That's right.
I
We
remember,
already
like,
have
half of these.
We have one request in Twitch for the Yona picture.
Really?
I don't.
Yeah, really.
I don't
Are you
believe you that we
surprised?
haven't already used that rarity.
What, this rarity?
Yes,
No. Pretty sure we haven't.
I don't think we have either. But like,
tell me that's
it's
not,
such a great one.
Tell me that's not a great picture.
The Pinky squeezing Rainbow Dash to death could be a good problem.
So,
Extra tight hugs.
well, that's basically what that's actually. I have names for all of these things that are very facetious. I think that one actually might just be labeled like extra tight hugs. We've got Mayor Please over here,
That's a good one.
and this one's named Roller Skate.
What are the baby cakes named?
I don't remember what. Double Trouble, I think.
Okay, so let's do this in the best way we can. For anyone on Twitch, go ahead and type in your favorite choices for which art you'd like to see designed first. For everyone here, let's go left to right, top to bottom. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just raise your hand as we come to that card. So, rarity was roller skates.
Roller Skates.
Okay.
Double Trouble.
Baby cakes. No. Okay. Pinky and the Guards. 1 for Pinky and the Guards. Okay. Extra tight hugs. With Rainbow and Pinky. No? Okay. Yona. My fellow
Yakistanians.
Cursor just said 3.
3.
so that's Pinky
Cursive
with the
wants
Guards.
Pinky and the Guards.
Okay.
So that's 2 for that.
Mayor, please.
Diamond has 4,
Okay.
which is the extra tight hug.
Extra tight hugs. That's fine. Baby Twilight.
Babified.
Babby Twilight.
You're just in time. We're picking art for a potential new card here.
Point to a good image.
I heard Twilight's involved, so we're going to can that idea.
Oh, got some
Uh-oh.
Twilight haters out here. Smolder, too cool for school.
That's actually what that one's named.
Oh, yeah.
And remind me how to pronounce this.
Wabniar half.
Wabniar.
Wabniar half.
Rainbow Dash backwards. Okay, there we go. We got one for Rainbow Dash backwards.
Okay. I think extra tight hugs takes it.
So we got extra tight hugs, Pinky and the Guards, my fellow Yakistans, and
It's just Rainbow Dash.
Wabniar.
Wabniar.
Wabniar. Thank you, Wabniar.
Rainbow Dash.
Rainbow Dash.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're doing.
Someone
Pinky and
spell
the Guards,
that.
We're doing Rainbow Dash.
I think we're doing. Okay, Pinky and the Guards.
Or I'm sorry, extra tight hugs. I mean.
Okay, Pinky and the Guards
Okay.
plus 1 in Twitch.
Yeah, that was
we have one in
Cursor.
Twitch.
Okay. So we got 2 for
Extra
that.
tight hugs.
Up 2.
So since we walked in late, what are we voting on? Like, what's the kind of the theme here?
This is the art we're going to start with, and you're going to help us design a card based around that art for the collectible card game.
Gotcha.
So whichever art you want to see on a card, because they will be printed in future sets,
Okay.
this would be the one to choose.
Okay, I got you.
So,
I think we
do you
actually have
Go ahead,
3.
shut up. It's good.
Hugs.
Hugs.
Yeah.
Hugs.
I think that's actually like 4 for that one.
4 for hugs.
Yeah.
I think hugs is taken it.
All right, we'll do hugs for the first one, and we'll do another one after that as well. So, this is a pretty open card. in terms of what we could do for top-down design. We know Pinky likes hugs. We know Rainbow no longer has a spine. Or has multiple spines now. They're just much smaller and broken into fragmented pieces. So we're starting with top-down design. Who here is familiar with the mechanics of the collectible card game? Who here has played the collectible card game before? Okay, we have some people who have played the collectible card game before. Who is not familiar with the collectible card game?
I played it like once when it very first came out.
Totally fine. So in the collectible card game, the primary goal is for players to play friends and move their friends around to problems so that they can solve those problems. When they solve the problems, they get points, and the first person to get to 15 points wins the game. So I would say, based on this, that this is probably not going to be a card that's going to encourage or cause a lot of moving, as it does not look like Rainbow is going to be moving anywhere anytime soon.
Lose a movement turn.
That's a possibility, so it could stop a character from being moved for a turn. That's a good choice. We've seen several cards that have sent characters back home. Rarity with Sweetie Belle when they're going back through... exactly. Yep, that's one. And we've also seen Stand Still. Actually, there seem to be a lot of ponies that enjoy making Rainbow Dash not move.
Yeah,
because
like all of the movement cards are Rainbow Dash.
It's almost as if that's all she does.
When Blue Fast goes fast. Yep.
I'm shocked and appalled that Blue Fast would go fast.
So so that's one option we could do.
Whoa there, Nelly.
Another option we could do is Rainbow looks like she might be out of commission for a little while. When you're playing friends, your opponent might try to get rid of your friends. So that would be another option. Is this is a card that could remove a friend for one reason or another?
Well, let's also think for a moment about what kind of card should this be. Should this be a friend? Should this be Pinky?
I think it should be a problem, actually.
So I don't think this is going to work real well for a problem because of the way the art is arranged. We can try it, but a problem would not be my first instinct for this art.
So
simply because a problem wants to be very wide and a friend wants to be kind of tall.
It looks like it's focusing on the action rather than the characters of the setting.
Right. So
This looks like an event.
okay,
this does look like an event or possibly a resource. Yes.
sure, I could see that. We've seen hugs done as resources before, and we've also seen Rainbow restrained as events
Yeah.
before.
Extra tight hug.
As a resource?
Yak Strength Hug is a
A
resource.
resource. Interesting.
It's a condition.
Yeah. That works as a resource.
Yeah, because Pinky ain't going nowhere.
A loving hug is never a problem.
So I like your comment about the fact that this art looks like it's focused more on the action rather than the individual characters themselves, and the background, like you say, is present but relatively generic. It's not trying to draw the viewer's eye in there. So this is probably a good card
Her
for
eyes
events.
are going
It's visual, it's active, it's apparent that there's movement that's going on here, or lack of movement in Rainbow's case. So, do we want to try this as? Do you want to put it to a vote as either like an event or a resource for now, and see kind of where we're at? Who thinks this should be an event? Who thinks this should be a card you play that does something and then that's all it does? Okay. Who thinks this should be a resource that does something while it's in play? Okay.
So I've never played the game, so what is a resource?
Have you played any collectible card games before? Have you played Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, anything along those lines?
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh not selling.
Okay, got it. So this would be like a Magic card that you would play on one of your monsters that would have a persistent effect as long as that card was on the monster.
Okay.
That's what a resource would be.
Okay.
Okay. We have.
Cursed wants an event, and Diamond wants a resource.
Okay, I think
we have event.
I think
Yeah.
we're going with
Okay,
event.
but the thing is, I definitely agree this should be an event. However, I'm worried this is going to become too much like Stance.
Okay, so
That's something we can
That is a
do
very
in-
valid concern. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something we can do in the mechanical aspects of this. So instead of, say, making another friend not move, what if this took a friend of yours and shoved it over to where an opponent's friend is?
that's
then
an interesting idea.
And can't move for the rest of the
and then
turn or
stuck
something?
and then stuck a -1 power counter on it.
That actually sounds brilliant.
Okay, so Pinky is so excited she rushes over, grabs Rainbow Dash, holds her in a big old hug,
Locks her down.
locks her down for a little bit. I could see something like that working, sure. We know that Rainbow normally would otherwise be zipping around.
Yeah.
So it would make sense to have this be a neat effect. Now, in the game, there are 6 colors that are based on the 6 main characters of Generation 4. So we've got Rainbow Dash, who is blue, and blue is generally associated with moving characters and going fast. We have Pinky, who is pink, who likes to do all kinds of random things. She draws cards and she throws parties for ponies. Applejack gets big. She gets swole from farming all day, as is right and proper.
Right.
Rarity generally likes to wear a lot of hats and is annoying for people to be around,
Yeah.
just like Rarity. Fluttershy is OP and should definitely be banned. No, Fluttershy is a good pony who likes having a lot of critter friends as well, a lot of smaller friends to help support her, so that's very thematic. And Twilight usually has good affinity for magic, a lot of events and things like that as well. So, those 6 colors make up the most of the game. If we're making this an event, we could make it an event that has color, meaning that it's going to work better with certain characters that like to play that color. It could be an event that doesn't have a color, meaning anyone can play it equally. Or it could be an event that has multiple colors, meaning you need to commit even more towards 2 particular strategies. Now, if you had to look at that, Art, can you zoom out for a second? If you had to pick any 2 colors this could possibly be, I wonder which ones we should choose.
White and orange.
Definitely white and orange.
Definitely
Cursed
white.
is suspicious of how well the art fits.
Is he implying that we did
Almost like this was planned.
like
Looks like an exhaust
No.
story now.
Said it all seemed unpurposed.
No, this is not. Part of this is just I have a really good eye for proportions and how things will fit on a card. This is what doing this for 4 sets does to you. Help me, please.
He's okay. He's trying.
They
So-
won't let me go. They keep me in a
Just
closet
let
and leave me when I don't
We do
go out.
not keep you in a closet.
No, they keep you in the basement. That's not the same thing.
We don't keep you. Hey, there he is. We don't
Sugarcoat!
Sugarcoat. Okay. No EQG.
Oh.
We don't keep him in the
He said-
basement. We keep him in the shed.
Well, what about that one time we had Sunset Show?
So I will sneak Pony Bacon into art whenever I can.
Pony Bacon and Sonata are okay.
Yes.
And Pony Sonata, yes.
Yes.
Only ponies.
Well, the Pony Sonata is a Pixel Kitties piece of art. That does not happen in the show art. And
Yeah, that's true.
It is
There was
unlikely
a
that
time where we were wondering if that was a clue for a future episode.
Yeah.
That would have been
Back in the day.
Okay, so back to the mechanics of this. This card, if it had colors, would likely be pink or blue,
Yeah.
Pink and blue.
or pink and blue, or maybe it just doesn't have colors. Or if someone thinks there's a reason it should be something else, you could go for that as well. Oh yeah, just zoom right in on your face. Like, yeah, that's
look.
good.
No, we're doing the overpaint.
I'm just saying, at this angle, that eye looks like a zit, and we should pop it.
Oh,
Thank you for that thought.
that's horrifying.
But so like if you just think about what this card actually does, well, if we go with the general idea of what we were saying of both moving and restricting, those are blue and white things.
They are.
But the characters here are blue and pink.
So, how much are we willing to bend flavor or bend mechanics to try to align flavor, or vice versa? Have characters ever broken outside their normal colors before? Have we had pinkies that aren't pink?
All the time.
Sure. Have we had rainbows that aren't blue?
But generally white.
Not so much. There was this one time, and Rainbow was very unhappy about it.
She was in a dress.
She was in a dress, and she was told not to move.
There were multiple times because there was also that time with
To be
Zephyr
fair,
and,
there is a certain white pinky that y'all showed earlier. Was that in the list?
That was? Yeah, Remix Master.
Oh yeah. I always forget that card's white.
Yep, it is. So, we have an idea of a concept of the mechanical design now, where this is a card that is likely to move one of your characters somewhere your opponent already is, and then is likely to apply some kind of a detrimental effect to that opponent's character temporarily. Hugs don't last forever, sadly. I wish they did. I wish Pinky would give an eternal hug. I think that's a bad fan fiction, though, so we're not going to go into that.
I mean, Pinky will give you a hug for the rest of your life.
Yes, she will. So,
Case in point.
You had mentioned, who had suggested something about minus power? Did someone say something about minus power?
I remember that you're in that boat.
That was me, but I'm
That
just
might have
throwing.
been-
I'm throwing stuff out here. -1 power counters are weird.
-1 power counters
That was
are weird,
you.
but temporarily reduced power is something we've
cards
seen.
have had minus power. I don't recall.
I don't
There's
think we-
been one that was printed
Really?
in New Dawn, and there's another 1 or 2 that are coming in Fond Memories.
Oh, but not this.
Yeah.
But not this one.
For temporarily minus power, that was a pink thing
that-
back in Premiere
Well, the minus
and
one.
kind of disappeared.
It was.
Well, if that's the case, the -1 would be thematic for this set.
It would. It would be something that could be done in pink. And it would be interesting to have a card that is pink, where pink doesn't normally focus on moving its own characters a whole lot, but it has some synergy. You have Party Mare, who gets to move herself every turn. You have DJ Ponyville the Beat, that lets you pay less when you move characters. So it's not outside the realm of pink to
Yeah.
have a card that does that, especially if there's usually some kind of a restriction on it. Blue is the card that just said, or blue is the color that says, I just want to move everything forever. Pink says, I want to get value for moving something, or I want to move things in specific circumstances. So I think this could be a pink event. The action is being done by Pinky. Rainbow's just the object of Pinky's actions here.
So we have some wording ideas from Cursed.
Okay, what's
Immediate, so meaning you can play it basically at any time. Choose an opposing character. Move one of your characters to that card's problem. Neither of those characters can be moved until the end of the turn.
That could work.
That could work. Now, that
It has to move to where the opposing friend already is. So you're not moving an opposing friend. But that's not what's happening here. Yeah, so in the art it is that your character, well, Pinky moves over to Rainbow.
Right.
And then stops from
And
moving.
then Rainbow can't move.
Yeah.
The one thing that's a little tricky about that is the most desirable way to keep your opponent's characters is going to be at their home. When you're at your home, you can't be confronting problems, you can't be scoring points, you're just kind of there resting for a moment. But you can't move your own characters to your opponent's home. It's like a safe space for them. You really can't get anything of your own into that section. So this would stop characters that are already at problems from moving, and there are some colors that like to do that. Blue likes to move its characters from problem to problem, so that's an option. Are there other ways that we could maybe flavor this? Ivory, suggestions? Or audience suggestions?
Yeah, 'cause it seems like if you cause their one of their friends to not move from a problem, I mean, that's kind of where they wanted it in the first place. So it doesn't sound like a big detriment to
It
them.
could be yeah, because in that way it could be used as a way to either take that friend out of a place where they could actually solve a problem. So to take that friend out, they can't do that. Or you could bring them into a side where it's like a troublemaker is, and that friend could end up being affected by it.
That's an idea. And I like the way you're thinking about that is friends, characters, they're used for a couple of things. They're used for confronting problems, and they're used for trying to break through troublemakers that are like a temporary barrier that's put up. It stops people from being able to score points normally. What if we changed the detrimental effect from the character having less power to the character not being able to contribute their power towards those two things? So they couldn't contribute their power towards face-offs or confronting problems
Because they're too busy hugging. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Until-
Rodash doesn't look like she's able to do much.
Right, until the end of the turn. So it's not that she's weaker, she's just not able to, like you said, do anything.
Yeah, so that would be like immediate. Yeah, if you want to do that wording, either way works. So it's like move to a problem. Opposing character there doesn't contribute its power to face-offs face-offs or confronting.
Face-offs or confronting.
Face-offs or confronting until the end of the turn.
So we could have, like you said, immediate
Burst of Lotus.
What is this?
burst of
This
water.
is a silver bordered card. Don't ask questions.
Why are we working on this?
Yeah, what are you doing? Why?
Get this out of here. What are you doing?
Well,
He was trying to get to the
I think you're going a little too much into the zone.
the reference.
Yes. So, immediate, move one of your characters to an opponent's character's problem.
I actually kind of do like the wording of Cursed, which is you choose an opposing character.
Okay.
And then you move one of your characters to that card's problem, and then neither of those characters... Well, so in this one, it's neither of those, which I think is also fine. So neither of those characters contribute power to face-offs or confronting until the end of the turn.
Sure, that seems fine. That seems reasonable. Pinky's kind of busy herself there as well, so that makes sense. So we're thinking this is probably a pink event that's going to work at immediate speed and perform this effect.
Yeah. So it could be either just pink or pink and blue. I don't know if you'd want to restrict it. Yeah, because like the decision to make a multicolor card is generally like it's quite powerful, and so you kind of wanted to restrict it to certain types of decks. And I don't know, like, are we fine with any pink deck having access to this? Like, I think it's interesting both as a control tool and actually as a aggro, like a tempo tool.
Sure. I could see a situation where you're just playing this to save you some actions. For example, your opponent is going to confront a single problem. You can use this to basically deny them a point by moving one of your characters up there and choosing their largest character of the problem. Nothing happens as far as confronting. It goes back to your turn. Now you're in a position where you're up there at that problem as well, and you're able to contribute towards confronting or fighting a troublemaker again.
Yeah.
The other thing that's tricky about multicolor cards is sets are finite in scope. We could, in theory, just keep coming up with card ideas and card ideas and card ideas and just keep adding them to a set and never stop. And then the set gets ludicrously large and it makes...
1,000 card sets. Enjoy ordering that from Make Playing Cards.
Yeah, no. It obviously makes things like set rotation, where you have a format that only uses the newest sets, more complicated to balance when you keep having more and more cards that go in there. So we try to restrict sets to about 150 cards apiece. And most sets have a pretty general formula for how many cards of each color or each color combination are going to be in that set. Multicolor cards that have 2 or more colors, are usually restricted to 2 in that particular color combination per set. Maybe 3 sometimes. So, like Cheese was saying, printing a multicolor card, you want it to be impactful, you want it to be exciting, because there are far fewer of them than there are cards of a single color. Single color, you can have over a dozen, if not more, in that particular color per set. So, in this case, who thinks that this is a card that would be good enough to do in a single color, and who thinks it's an effect that would be exciting and powerful enough that you'd want to do it in 2 colors? So, single color, mono pink. Okay? How about multiple colors, pink and blue? Okay. So, people think this is exciting enough that they'd want to see it in both pink and blue, and that's fine, because there are already a lot of other cards that synergize with that. Blue has a lot of Traveler stuff. Your characters can get bigger from moving. Griffins get a lot of synergy when you move your own characters. Pink can have either Calming or Eccentric, which can be even more tricky. So yeah, I can see this as a multicolor card.
Yeah, for chat, we did have a vote for mono, but... Oh,
Okay.
no, she said, scratch that. She also said the name's right there. It's Pinky Strength Hug.
Pinky Strength Hug.
Is that an event name?
I can't... Does anyone remember what the that there was any dialogue going on here, like right either during or right before?
I think it was squee about as loud as Pinky possibly could.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, generally for that stuff, like Ara has all the episodes and just looks
You
through.
can go back and try and find it if you can.
Oh man, we're getting a free show. Didn't even know.
That's right.
This is what you need when you do this.
Yeah, you have to go find the...
It's very close to the beginning.
I don't remember. I need to watch all this again. Oh, it's like one of these frames, yeah.
Frame by frame.
This is my life right here. This is what Pony looks like to me.
Stop right there. You
No.
pinpoint the exact moment that Herd's spine breaks into.
No. Ready?
Oh,
Nuzzle.
Nuzzles.
One of them is much more okay with this.
Rainbow does not want.
Did it already? Oh yeah, there we go.
There it is. All right. So that's what was going on in the scene right there.
But we were looking for the audio, though, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So she said I kind of need to get going. So she's trying to go somewhere. Go to the Wonderbolts Academy.
Thanks.
I'm so happy for you.
I kinda need to get going.
Yeah.
Should still go. Wait, I wasn't gonna get in.
Okay.
I'm so happy for you.
I'm happy for you, and I'm gonna let you finish.
But
But
Well,
first,
Pinky gives the best hugs of all time. Of all time. So, what
game text are we at right now? I know that we were leaning towards.
So yeah, so the game text we have is a modification of Cursed's. It's immediate, choose an opposing character, move one of your characters to that card's problem. Neither of those characters contribute their power to face-offs or confronting until the end of the turn.
If we're doing this as a monocolor, I'm
No,
sorry,
we're
as a
dual
dual color is what I meant.
It's immediate movement. It only moves to where an opposing friend is, though.
it does. Pink has had location restricted
Yeah.
movement before with cards like Ace O Rally that moves when an opposing character moves, things like that. And the ability to not contribute power towards face-offs, definitely Pink.
Yeah.
Cardboard box right there as well, absolutely makes sense. So, good call on making it two colors. I think it fits very well with both of those effects. So how many action tokens should it cost?
1.
1? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone who thinks that she should never design cards, raise your hand. Wow, you have fans.
Diamond Song says it should cost 3. I think that's a little steep.
I think that might be a little steep.
Well,
if you're,
so what-
if you're
what's-
unfamiliar with the game, action tokens are a little bit more complicated to balance. It's the resource that you gain in this game. It's like the money that you spend to play all your cards or to take any of your actions. Unlike most other card games, you can save your action tokens up turn after turn, so they don't go away at the end of your turn. And you'll gain more action tokens as the game gets closer to finishing. So you start off gaining 2 per turn, and you end gaining as many as 5 per turn. So action tokens are something that you do need to spend for just about anything you're doing. They're used to move characters, they're used to play cards, they're used to draw cards, they're used to do activate abilities, all of that.
Say for a few cards that were 0 tokens, but still required color.
Correct, right, where they still need you to do something. Yes?
So if you're gaining more tokens towards the end of the game, I don't know if 1 token wouldn't be that steep, because if you're gaining more tokens, this seems like kind of a card you play towards the end to stop somebody from, like your opponent from solving a problem.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think this would be an early use card if you were to get it.
I would say it's going to be an early use card anyway, because there's still the fact that we're going to put color for a dual color limits. So like say if we did like 2 for like blue and pink.
Sure.
So they would somehow need to go through turns that would put out two friends or resources that are worth blue,
Right.
and then also get like 2 worth of like something in pink, and that's going to take multiple turns. Most likely.
So you're going to have to set up. Now you bring up an interesting point where your opponent is going to need to be doing things, kind of setting up their board already before you're going to play an event that disrupts them. You're not going to play an event most of the time if it's not going to do anything. At the same time, the further it gets in the game, the more likely it is the opponent's going to have the cards and the resources to overcommit to anything that they do, anticipating that you will have something you can do that will slow them down. Where a card like this is likely to be most useful is where your opponent is playing by the margins, where they're hoping that they can get in there, spending as few tokens or as few cards as possible, and getting a point or advancing their game in that situation. So playing this towards the middle of the game is likely a good compromise. What do you see?
Diamond Song says, "See, I take an absolute Discord approach when it comes to card designs with the 3 cost, overcosted things."
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and Cursor takes a middle of the road 2 AT, which is how much it costs to move a character normally, with 3/3 rec. That I think I'd rather see 2/2.
I would probably also rather see 2/2.
Yeah, the big difference there is that 3/3 require, like, the difference between 2 and 3 is actually pretty big, because especially in blue-pink deck, or pink-blue, because generally you're going to have 2 power friends. Those are generally the most common. And so this, being at 2 locks it in. You just need a single other friend in a flipped main, and you can play it, rather than needing, like, 2 friends or a more expensive friend.
Sure. So I think 2 AT is a perfectly fine place to start with this card, and we can see in final design how it lines up. But I think 2 AT, 2 requirement, and then some amount of power that would be appropriate. It's not an event that's going to dramatically change the face of how the game goes, but it can delay your opponent by a turn or more. So for events whose impact is usually less, their power has a tendency to be greater, so that if you flip it in a face-off, which is a mechanic unique to this game, you want to flip a high power.
Yeah. Like 4 is kind of like the I think it's a little bit high with what we do now for events.
We'd probably write this down as a 3.
You think so?
I think so.
I think we'd put it as a 3 if it was 1 cost, and I think we'd put it as a 4 if it was 2
Yeah.
cost.
I mean, this is pretty high impact.
But it's expensive. Like, you're paying for it.
Sure, and I suppose these aren't colors that are normally going to run control, so that's probably okay.
Yeah, it's not like we're printing a board wipe for them next set or anything.
I thought this was only conditionally impactful. Because you said
It is conditionally, but, like, that condition is pretty common. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's some conditions that are like, that never happens. And then there's conditions like, yeah, people tend to confront things. Well, most decks tend to confront things. And tend to have friends at problems, or characters. I think we said characters, right? Yeah, character.
Yep. And Flavor Town from Colt Fury.
That's just the default.
It's the best flavor text. We've also never actually had that flavor text on a card. I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think there is.
No.
I think there is art, like show art of Colt Fury.
Is
somewhere.
there?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's Gordon Ramsay.
He was in
No,
the
Gordon
background
Ramsay.
of the
There is Gordon Ramsay, definitely. But yeah.
It was in the background of that episode where the Rarity and Pinkie Pie went to that Indian restaurant, and they all brought all the crowd over for them.
So
Possibly.
So season 5.
So what's the next thing?
well, we need the names.
The rarity? What about the rarity?
Oh, the rarity. Okay, so that's a good point. When
Gameplay exclusive promo.
Never again.
those 3 words
Or was it season 6?
are the worst words.
Season 6, sorry.
So we're not going to make this a gameplay exclusive promo.
No.
That's not how this works.
Spice up your life.
We haven't had one of those since like
For anyone not
CG.
familiar, a gameplay exclusive promo is a card that is printed
Near the end.
exclusively for distribution at in-person tournaments, and that is the only way you can acquire the card is at that tournament itself.
yeah. And Interplay ended up reprinting all of the gameplay exclusive cards as non-gameplay exclusive, as promo exclusive.
Sort of.
Yeah, because it was bad.
Yes.
It was bad.
No, they printed the ones that were really annoying to get a hold of.
Yeah.
They didn't print the Rainbow Dash dressing in style.
Yeah, and like the breakdown, not breakdown, whatever, the breakdance. Yeah.
So.
No one should play that card anyway.
So we need a rarity and we need a name. Rarity, when we're dealing with multicolor cards, they come in a couple different flavors. So the rarities in this game, not the pony rarity, but how hard a card is to find, are common, uncommon, rare, super rare, and ultra rare.
We have
Ultra rare.
we have a vote from Cursed for being uncommon. And with the print and play, this isn't about how likely an individual player is to have it in a constructed deck, because you have all the cards. It's the benefit of print and play. It's more about limited play, so draft or sealed. Like if a player gets this in their sealed pool, how like disruptive is that? Is that something that should never happen or almost never happen, or like is it pretty okay to happen? And so cursed is like some either uncommon or rare. Common is probably a little bit too likely to see.
Oh yeah, I'd run this card all the time.
Yeah, especially in limited, like blocking a confront.
There's also the fact
no,
that we've also
we
never,
cannot print this at common because it
it's
is
a multicolored
multicolor.
card.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Okay.
The only multicolored common would be a vanilla.
There are no multicolor commons.
And we specifically want to avoid printing multicolored commons, not because they're too powerful, but because if they appear too frequently and you choose not to play those colors in a limited environment, you
It
get very
hurts.
disappointed.
Yeah, it hurts you a lot in limited.
Yeah. So I think uncommon is fine. And for names, congratulatory hug or
We also we have the default of like pinky strength hug. Is there something better?
Can anyone else suggest a name for this card? Let's go back to the card art.
Unwanted affection.
We have.
Say
You
that
said
again?
unwanted affection. Okay, so we have unwanted affection. We have pinky strength hug.
More names, shout them out.
Come on.
I feel like Pinky would say squeeze, so just Pinky squeeze is something I feel like she would just shout while hugging her.
Pinky squeeze.
Pinky squeeze. Like Hulk smash, but pinky
But it's
squeeze.
Pinky squeeze. So-
In all caps.
Oh yeah, that would have to be all caps.
All caps.
Pinky squeezy hug.
Pinky squeeze. Not that squeeze.
Yes, I was like, wait, why
Not that
is
squeeze.
I'm going to claim infiltrating on this one.
No. Other suggestions?
I keep wanting to think of something involving something of Ringo that's just spine, but I wonder. I feel that's too morbid. I wonder if it would be too morbid for us.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah,
we
we
need to
have-
remember the audience that we're trying to appeal to as well.
Yeah, we don't do Fallout Equestria here, sorry.
Dang.
Cheese is upset eternally about
I'm upset
next set?
too.
Next set.
this. Next set.
We don't do EQG, we don't do Fallout.
What?
What else?
Why did we invite them again?
Oh, one more squeeze.
One more squeeze. Okay.
Because like she's like, oh, because at the end of this, like, okay, I'm done.
What does chat say?
We got. Admittedly, making a pun on squeeze somehow is compelling. That was cursed. We have main squeeze.
We're shipping them?
Main squeeze.
Oh,
I mean
I
that.
didn't even get that. Okay,
That was yeah.
That's it.
that's a joke.
Could be worse.
We tend to avoid that.
Squeeze.
Yeah, it's a joke, except she's serious when she suggests that.
Who's shipping them online?
Who do
Diamond.
you think?
Of course she is. Look, Diamond, just because you want an explanation for how Zip ended up with pink and blue hair does not mean that you get to come up with the canon for that in Generation 4, okay?
That's too dark of a blue one.
And there's also red in your main too.
That's true. That's true. What do you have? Farewell Hugs?
Farewell.
Hugs is another one. I kind of like the main squeeze one. I think we could get away with that. No? Okay, people are
I liked the pinky squeeze.
Pinky squeeze?
Yeah. What does everyone here think of everything that's been suggested so
I
far?
like the pinky strength hug or maybe pinky sized hug.
Okay, pinky strength hug or pinky sized hug. We got one for that. Thoughts?
Well, it should
Uh-huh.
actually turn to a Z if you're gonna make it actually like the word
Yeah.
squeeze. I like pinky squeeze.
I just feel like that's something.
If you could put like, I mean, you could also do it like in like all caps are at an exclamation point and be like an Incredible Hulk sort of thing. But
I like the pinky squeeze.
Yeah, I think the people here are leaning more towards pinky squeeze.
we don't always have to be very flash.
That's fair. Okay.
Well, the squeeze.
All right,
I
so
feel
what do
like
we-
there's
what do we
some-
call this
some
thing?
common
An
expression
uncommon?
we're missing, like to put the squeeze on someone.
And that is the perfect place to adjust the flavor text for that. Because if there's anywhere on cards that we will fit puns, like just as hard as we possibly can, it's right there in that flavor text line at the bottom.
I will go full meme lord in the flavor text.
So I agree.
There are no rules.
This is a great
Actually, there are,
place to put a pun like that. We can make a note for that.
The
I don't
flavor
think
text is
I don't
just-
think we'll do the flavor text here just because that can take a little while to
Yeah.
do. But That's okay. So, here we go. You made your first card. Congratulations. Woo!
That mean I have to turn in my prize?
Huh?
No.
No, you still get your own card.
You get your own personal designer card.
Because I got the CCG prize from Everton.
Yes, you did. So while we get set up here to go to the next card, let's talk a little bit about how
Really, in 10 minutes.
set design has changed with print and play. so
Well,
most
that may
collectible
render
card
it
games
unable to be opened on my
have
machine.
physical product that they
That may-
use,
it's
booster
a
packs,
version
boxes,
thing.
decks,
I may not
whatever
be
it happens to
able to
be.
do that
And for a long time, the My Little Pony
You can
collectible
redo it,
card game
whatever.
also did as well.
took
Interplay
it out.
produced these.
No, it'll reopen.
Interplay stopped producing new cards around, what was it, 2018, 2019?
It was after
2018.
season 8.
2018.
Yeah, I think it was 2018.
Yeah, 2018. And that was the last year that had a new physically printed set by Interplay that came out. Well, the community is still here. People still like ponies. Who still likes ponies?
Yeah!
Yeah! Still like
No.
ponies. Who still likes games? I
Yes!
still like games. Hey, look, there's a target market for this. Why would we want to stop having the game be supported? Are you saying you like ponies? There you go. So, Commentary as Magic stepped up and started designing sets and continuing to support the game through tournaments. We've developed several sets of our own. We've made them available through Print and Play. Print and Play means that anyone who likes to play this game can go online and print these cards out either on their own printer at home or have them professionally printed through a printing service, and they're legal for play in tournaments. So if you go to an event at a convention, or you have a local meetup, or you go to the National Continental Championships every single year, you can use these cards and everyone has access to them. It means that the normal barrier to entry that you have for playing a collectible card game, which is usually how much are you willing to empty your wallet to do so, doesn't really apply
Everything's
anymore.
over.
It still applies to older cards, and we don't want to destroy the secondary market for card games. People have spent a lot of money and a lot of time trying to find their favorite cards and build their favorite decks, and you don't want to just tell them that those cards are worthless and that their effort isn't spent or didn't amount to anything. So we don't reprint cards. We only want to print new cards, and we don't want to print or we don't want to make it so that older cards lose their value. So we need to be careful with how we design things.
Yeah, no power, no this. It's this card, but strictly better.
Some power creep is going to happen because that's what you have to do as you progress. It's no longer a friend that's just a 202 vanilla.
404 rare.
Go away, full steam.
Yeah. Rip full steam.
Yeah.
I will still, if I ever have an excuse to run a 404 Orange Friend, it's going to be
In Harmony, yeah.
it's going to be full steam every time because you got
The original, yeah.
You got a swag. Right?
Was there a foil of that?
No, there was no foil.
No foil.
There should have been a foil.
Yeah.
Shameful.
606, you are.
Now, what Print and Play does allow us to do is something that's a little bit unique to physical games, and that is we can correct mistakes that we make in terms of balance of card design. So who's ever played a game, any game, card game or otherwise, and you came across a rule or some interaction or something and you thought, boy, this is really unfair. I wish this was a little different. Anyone ever encountered that in the game before? What did you run into? Go ahead. Yeah.
Go for it.
Go for it. Tell us. What did you run into?
I thought there are a lot of instances of that. There's like an infinite loop in, I think, Mystic Veil or something.
Okay.
Where there's just this cycle of card purchase and firing order that doesn't end. So
Not the most balanced element of the game.
it's also like not specified.
Oh, it isn't called out exclusively or anything in the rules?
It's right. It's actually, I guess it's not necessarily a balance issue, it's just the rules failing to account for this interaction that happens.
Got it. Sometimes,
Just saying.
I mean, sure, yeah. Sometimes designers try things, and a lot of times those things work. But
My
not
girls.
always.
Grogar.
Grogar.
Like my girl.
Growing confidence.
Legacy Leech.
Huh?
Legacy.
I mean, why-
Oh, why did you say it? Why did you say the card?
The original Cloud Chaser.
Original card.
She kind of fell off.
She kind of fell out of favor.
She did fall out of favor.
Don't worry, we'll see her again in stick form soon. So when a game has physically printed cards, you don't want to try to errata those cards to do something different. You don't want to say this card printed says one thing, but it actually does something different. It gets really confusing. It creates barriers to entry for newer players. It just makes
9
it
different versions of Marvelous Chapeau.
It's just really hard to keep track of. But through print and play, when there's no or very little cost, see there you go, there's your Cloud Chaser in the next set. When there's no or very little cost to fixing a card, being able to push the design envelope a little bit farther, being able to try new things or explore new design space, even if it means taking a risk that it might not be the most balanced card ever, is a little bit more okay. Because if something does get out of control, it's much easier to fix. Legacy Leech was a big problem. Anyone who was at Continentals this year saw this card, saw what this card did, saw the impact it had on the meta overall, and said, this isn't fun, nothing else can beat this, we need to find a way to fix it.
Can you bring up the actual
We've
card?
removed
Because I
it
think
from the
people
meta,
saw
it's been banned from the formats
it's
right
the
now. We're
card we
working on
designed.
fixing it to reprint it that will limit its power, and we'll be able to reintroduce it later. That's not something that could be done with a commercially printed set. You'd have to recall every single card out there in everyone's private collection. It just can't be done. It can be done in digital games. Look at how often Hearthstone does errata for their cards. All the time.
Like basic cards, like, no, I can totally revamp the set.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Print and play falls part of the way in between there. So, with that being said, it's okay to try new things with set design in print and play, as long as we do still try to keep things balanced, knowing that we'll keep an eye on it and nothing's set in stone. There can be corrections that can be made later. And this applies to all game design. You don't want to try to pigeonhole yourself into a situation that you can't correct later if things turn out to not be balanced, because the instant you hand that game to 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 100 other people that you don't play with regularly, I guarantee you one of them is going to find something or do something that you've never thought to do. It will just happen. And that's why playtesting is also important. Okay, have I ranted for long enough? Are we good to go with the next card image?
Well, we don't have time to do another card.
It's the
I
time.
have a question on that.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, so where does playtesting fall in this process?
So during set design, and this is fine, we'll open it up to Q&A session here. During set design for print and play sets, we'll usually start with an initial wave that has, what would you say, about a third to half the total number of cards that'll be in that set overall?
Somewhere in there. We've
Roughly.
cut them with, a little under half usually.
Okay. Usually those cards are going to be at the lower rarities, the things that will appear more often in limited formats or drafts, and we want to get a feel for how the one or two mechanics that the set is really going to focus on are going to work. So, for example, in Sequestria and Beyond, which was the set based off the NLP movie when that came out in 2017, the features were that ponies could transform into sea ponies, so that was an interesting mechanic. And ponies traveled around a lot, so there was encouragement to move your characters. Those mechanics were printed on a pretty good number of the cards in that set. And so that might be what the first wave of a set looks like. We'll introduce it to playtesters, we'll describe what the goals for the set design are, and ask them to try experimenting with these cards, adding them to either existing decks to see what could replace cards that are already out there, or build new decks that maybe they haven't tried before because something else caught their eye. So that's how playtesting starts. It continues from that point on, adding more cards to the set, making changes, taking in feedback, and focusing on things where we think mechanically it might be problematic. Other questions?
All right. Well, turns out I broke my Python chain.
Oops.
Computers.
Why are you dealing with your Python?
Because all he does is mess with things.
This
It's
is
like
the
his
system,
thing.
This is the system I use to go from. Get out the way. Too many things here. InDesign renders these things at 600 DPI with the bleed. What goes into Ponyhead is significantly lower resolution. what goes into the layouts, the things that you can print, has to be a specific size and a range. The Python processing chain I have automatically does all the arrangement, all the resizing, all the packaging. Once I do the render out of InDesign, I run that script, it coughs out the 4 PDFs and the 3 zip files. One click. I'm not about doing things by hand.
He doesn't have time for that.
I don't have time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that.
If you can automate it, automate it.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to do this too many times to even think about doing this by hand. So if you've gone to the Pony Programmers panel, I've given the extensive rant about that side of it, but I'm not going to get into that here because ain't nobody got time for that.
Nice.
Any other questions about card design or the card game in general? Anyone? Anything on Twitch?
My fellow Yak-Yakistans should just make both mains Yona main for the rest of the game.
Love it, Diamond.
Have fun with that.
Definitely.
That sounds like a silver bordered card.
Yes.
Yeah, so how do you make sure all the cards get tested?
Bug people to test.
Yes.
People to test.
Well, I mean, so
And some do get missed. We're going to be honest. We cannot exhaustively test every possible combination, use, archetype, deck list. The combination is just huge. Our experience as playtesters will guide us towards things that we think might be problematic. Sometimes we can see interactions between cards ahead of time and just be like, before they even get like to this stage, someone just looks at them and goes, no, you can't print those two things in the same set, or you can't print this because this thing 2 sets ago, or, printing this means that next set there's this big list of things that you can't do.
Yeah, but there's over like 2,000 cards now in total.
It's a lot.
It's like if you look at the combinatorial explosion of things that can happen, like you can't look at everything, but like we have some pretty like good players playtesting, and like the public beta where it's like everybody can go and look, and so like most things get caught.
Yeah, something actually got caught in the public playtest that I don't think we saw that one.
No, not at that.
No, we did not.
We knew that it was a card that could potentially do something, but we tried through our exhaustive efforts to find a way to break it and couldn't do it. And then a week after it got released to the public,
someone turned around and is like, hey, if I do this, this, and this, it does this cool thing, and our response to that is just lol.
So we have a great pun. Like you bug people to test. So we have Cursed is imagining a changeling QA team testing the cards.
Who wants to join
The
the
bug
QA
people.
team of changelings?
is the QA team made completely of changelings?
Yes.
It is now.
Are they changelings or changelings? I hope they're changelings. He likes thorax, in case you can't tell.
He has a plush on order. Like
I have a plush on order, and when it gets here, I'm going to take it out of the box, take a picture, and then punch him in his stupid face.
You are not going to do that. You
will.
spent way
He
too
totally
much money
will.
on that.
I will totally do this.
They'll do it. To expand really quickly on that as well, as we've played the game over the years and have also worked on designing or playtesting the game when Enterplay was still doing it, we know there's certain words to look for in cards that are notoriously more dangerous than others. Score points, gain action tokens, draw cards. Anytime we see this language, we want to be very careful and make sure that we pay attention to it. Lose
When
action
this
tokens.
card enters play is a very big one. We have to be careful of because
That's honestly a good point.
Who remembers interdimensional portal? Keep putting things
The
into
two
play
card
over
combo.
and over again. Yeah. You want to be careful having a potentially repeatable effect.
Yeah, sometimes we'll look at a card and say you can't print that as when this card enters play. It has to be when you play this card.
Right.
It just has to.
Little tweaks like that. So, other questions?
I think we're about wrapped up there.
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone, thank you so much. Thank you for helping us design the next card.
This will go in the MLP CCG Discord basically whenever I can get the Python pipeline working again.
So in about an hour after he smacked his
don't-
computer in the hotel room.
Yeah, if you are not on the MLP CCG Discord, I have a handful of community cards which have links to the Discord, the Reddit community, and a couple of other places, as well as a set of contact information for Commentary is Magic. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic.
I am, as always, Grandpa's.
Big cheese.
Our cat and
Ivory Starlight, who's currently passing out the cards.
Thank you, Ivory. Manning our social media as always. And we'll see you all next time, question mark?
next time.
Do we have a stream next week?
We do have a stream next week.
Yeah, next weekend. See ya.
You'll get to hear us talk about Cheese's stupid deck in Harmony.